I have nothing to say. Only I am very much happy, very much pleased. Last a few days touring different places and met quite a number of people. Very, very sort of faithful, devoted. So I had the opportunity to explain what is Buddhism. That I really feel important. Number of people claim Buddhist, but without knowing what is Buddhism. So just I jokingly asked one person, what is the differences Buddha Shakyamuni and Jesus Christ? He say same. Of course, as a spiritual master, same. But in the philosophical field, the teaching of Jesus Christ and teaching of Buddha, there's differences. Of course, even between Christianity and Islam, there's differences. Trinity, according to Christian, Trinity, according to Islam, just one Allah, like that. So there's differences. So like that. So I had the opportunity to explain what is Buddhism. So I'm very happy. Whether they understand it fully or not, that I don't know. And here also, I think, as you witness, I explained about this Buddha Dharma, like that. Some question?
Can I ask you? His Highness, what is your vision for the world in the next few years?
Oh, that's a good question. Judging 20th century till mid part of 20th century, I think concept of my nation and other nation very strong. So with that concept, it's a clear demarcation between we and they. And that's the basis of violence and war. Now, later part of 20th century, people, one way, you see, in economy, in global economy level, and also environment level, now the demarcation between we and they reduce, not much more. Whole world should consider just one entity. So Western economy entirely depend on East or Middle East. Eastern economy need technology, depend on West. And also depend Arab because of the oil. And South Africa, Africa, like that. So the global economy factor makes one entity. Environment, because of the factor, also makes one entity. So this is one thing. Then second thing, the people everywhere, I think, really fed up about violence. Of course, handful of people here and there, that's always happened. Last, I think, 1,000 years, it always remained there. And the future also will remain that. But overall picture, I think, judging change, or what's the more civilized thinking, in the later part of 20th century, in the early part of the century, big differences. Then also, you see, this between spirituality and science. In the early part, people feel this is two different things. Now, later part of 20th century, I think the news or what's finding like quantum physics. Then eventually, and also nowadays, you see, among the scientists, among the top scientists, now looking more and more about the human mind, about the human emotion. So, for example, you see, my friend, some top respected, well-known scientist, now they consider, you see, my sort of explanation about Buddha Dharma, they consider as a science, not a religion. So you see, science and spirituality closer, closer. Like that. So therefore, now this is 21st century. I think beginning of this 21st century, of course some sort of unhappy event here and there, but overall picture is continuation of the later part of 20th century. So therefore, I believe now this 21st century certainly will be more peaceful century. That's no doubt.
And India will play a very major role in this.
Oh, no question. Now, I think about 70 years since this country got independence. Now compare neighboring state, much stable. In spite millions of Indians still not very educated, but democracy deeply rooted in this country. And then moreover, I consider myself as a messenger of India in two factors. Number one, 1,000 years in this country, ahimsa. It's not newly invented. Right? Last 1,000 years, 2,000 years, 3,000 years, ahimsa. Yeah. You see, that is still important in India's concept, ahimsa. And second, religious harmony. Look, today, I think all major world religions exist in this country. Ancient time, I think more than 1,000 years ago, you see, beside homegrown religion, that is Hinduism, different Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, and then later part Sikhism. These are homegrown religion. Then from outside, Zoroastrianism, from Iran, Parsi, then Christianity, then Islam, or Judaism in Cochin area, in Kerala. Many Jewish community there, I know. So all major world religious traditions live together in this country. Of course, in the philosophical field, there is sort of argument, disagreement. For example, Hinduism and Buddhism. However, basically like twin brothers, sisters, like that. So religious harmony is something part of India's tradition. So these two things, wherever I go, I always carry the message of ahimsa, or message of religious harmony. So these two things are very much relevant to today's world. Like the Shia-Sunni conflict and Catholics, Protestants sort of conflict. When I saw these things, then India's real sort of tradition, religious harmony, is really very much need today's world. So India can take important role. Now here, I want to tell you, my Indian friend, of course with respect, you need more effort for hard work. Hardworking.
We do hard work, sir.
But like the Commonwealth game, you see, it indicates sometimes we are not so much efficiency.
His Highness, you have just said about the ahimsa, but in your Twitter site you have just recently said that your middle way policy has been somewhat criticized by your own community, like especially the Tibetan Youth Congress. And so what do you see in future? Like after you, do you see the Tibetans renouncing the middle way path or?
Middle path, yeah, of course, you see there are critical sort of views, but majority fully support about that. We, from time to time, you ask the public sort of opinion or suggestion. So always is a majority of them fully support. And as far as non-violence is concerned, even the youth organization fully committed non-violence. One or two individuals, that's a different thing. Like that. So, yes, you are European.
Sir, may I ask you one question? We are making a documentary about the loss of the influence of globalization in Ladakh and mid-Himalayas. So what we find out is, as a result of the globalization, there is a loss of religious values, of social values, even in the youth of the people. So how can you join globalization and religious values in the future?
Oh, good question. I often telling people, Buddhist community, not only Tibetan, but also Chinese, Japanese, Korean, all Buddhist brothers, sisters, I appealing or suggesting, now we should be 21st century Buddhist. So that means use all the modernization, all the modern facility, and being a modern person and a fuller knowledge about modern science or everything. Meantime, preserve our own traditional religion. That's Buddhism. So if you know Buddhism, as I mentioned earlier, now number of scientists, including the medical scientists, now really seeking some method in order to prevent illness or in order to recover more quickly, and also for study in order to making better concentration. This is seeking some Buddhist method. Of course, these are not Buddhist, but they recognize Buddhism, generally speaking, not like religion, just faith, but Buddhism is science of mind. Therefore, as I mentioned earlier, those who say Buddhist, if they carry Buddhism like ritual or some kind of ceremonial way, it won't remain. And superstition also will not remain. Go. But you see, if you know what is Buddhism, it's utilize our human intelligence maximum way, and through that way transformation of our emotion. Emotion, there are two kinds of emotion. One category of emotion is spontaneous, without reason, without training, like anger, hatred, fear. And of course, fear, you see, there's differences. But like the hatred, anger, attachment, pride, these are spontaneous emotion. Then another emotion, genuine compassion, genuine altruism. These are not spontaneously come, but through training, through reasoning. So, more calm, in order to develop more calm mind, these positive emotions are very important factor. Even not thinking about next life or Buddhahood, simply in order to be happier person and happier family, happier community, happier humanity. I think these training of mind, which come from Hinduism and Buddhism, I think, as I mentioned earlier, very relevant to today's world. Therefore, you see, in this area, if the people, for example, Ladakhi, just a chatsal, without knowing what is Buddhism, then we'll go. I noticed in early 60s in Ladakh, those modern educated people, and their relation, their attitude towards monastery, not quite critical. Now changed, because I always ask them, study about Buddhism. You must have fuller knowledge about Buddha Dharma. So now these educated people, including government officials, Now, whenever they find time, from time to time, they themselves organize some kind of Buddhist class for Buddhist study. So now, in monastery, last I think now 40 years, at least, I think eventually now today around 5,000 to 6,000 monk students come from Ladakh up to Arunachal. So they carry study in our monastic institution. So these people, because you see these sort of people who study thoroughly, like actually 15, 20 years, so when they return in their own monastery, much improved. In 6 days before that, a lot of monks often drunk. Now that's gone. Discipline improved, knowledge improved. As a result, respect from the educated people now developed, kind of sufficient. Otherwise, you see, in the eyes of those educated people, usually you see, bring skepticism. That's very important for Buddhist study. Skepticism is very, very important. Why? Skeptical attitude brings question. Question brings investigation. Investigation brings answer. So that's generally Buddhist system, and particularly Nalanda tradition. So like that. So therefore, I don't think, you see, the cultural aspect, there are two aspects. One, cultural heritage. For example, the Tibetan religious community, right from the beginning, we make distinction. There should be two categories of cultural heritage. One, cultural heritage due to social sort of system and certain way of life. That part of cultural heritage will go, cannot preserve, no use to preserve. Then other cultural heritage category is really influenced or based on Buddhist thinking. So that very much relevant in our daily life, particularly when we are facing some problem. So that part of cultural heritage will remain and worthwhile to preserve. So therefore, you see, modernization, globalization is necessary. Nobody can escape, and in fact very useful. I just mentioned, because of modern technology, within 1 week I had the opportunity to visit this large area. Without this modern technology, if you use mules or horse, that's terrible. So I don't see the material development and genuine spiritual development can go together. No problem.
Can Buddhism help to fix the problems of the loss of altruism in the social communities?
I think like any other religion, any other major religion, Buddhism also has the sort of same sort of advice, practice of love, compassion, altruism. And then differences, Buddhism, in order to promote these things, use our intelligence. So those scientists, non-believer, you see, like Buddhist approach. They find it difficult to believe creator. So after all, Buddhism not mentioning about creator. Ultimately, according to Buddhism, oneself as a creator. Like that. So I think all major religion can make, I think, effective, significant contribution for a better world if we sincerely practice. Like Christian brother, sister, they say the true teaching of Jesus Christ, implement in daily life. You see, very helpful to bring inner peace, harmony in the family, into society, like that. So Islam also, sometimes we get the different impression, but actually those Islam practitioners who genuinely sort of practicing, you see, they practice love, extend to all creatures. Same, like Buddhist way of thinking, like that. The problem is, we, in many other fields also, I think like many other fields, in economy, business or politics, the religious field also sometimes we carry hypocrisy, saying something nice thing, but not much concern in our real life. That's the problem. So that's why sometimes religion itself become instrument for additional problem for society. Not properly follow religion, just to use the name of religion for one's own interest. Isn't it? Like that. Okay.
His Holiness, after you met Indian Prime Minister, China has shown resentment. How do you...
That's always happened. That always happened.
But yesterday our foreign minister...
Same time, same period, I also have a series of lectures on students of Delhi University, because they made me honorary professor. So I usually describe the hopeless professor. Two reasons. One reason, I have no sufficient reason to homework. And secondly, I'm a little bit lazy. So without proper homework and give some lecture. So that's the hopeless professor. So in any way, even the university chancellor, vice chancellor, get some blessing from Chinese embassy in New Delhi. That's always happened. In America, you see, or Europe, wherever you say, I said my talk should take place. The concerned authority, every university, I think, got some special blessing from Chinese mission. That's always happened.
The last question.
Yes.
The last question.
Yes.
Just the extension of his question about the resentment of China. Yesterday, our foreign minister, S.M. Krishna, he has said, you are an esteemed guest of India, but you should refrain from making any political statement, and Tibet is an integral part of China. So do you think this is a statement of a helpless friend, or India is going for a double standards?
No. I think since 1950, 51, now for example, when we developed direct contact with Chinese government, meantime we also appeal to United Nations. Then government of India suggested, since direct talk between Tibet and China going on, say not necessary to raise Tibetan issue at the UN. So then, I think in 1954, the agreement between Chinese government, Indian government, clearly mentioned Tibet as an autonomous region of People's Republic of China. So since then, continuously, same, no change. But as far as government of India support, yes, good.